Welcome to my channel Manhwa Duo. Enjoy the manhwa.
If you had the power to control any living being, what would you do? Would you hire cute animals to cuddle? Or wild beasts to protect you? How about a group of women to start your harem? It's a pity that imagination is so different from reality. Am I the only one who can see their existence? Since no living being is willing, I will forge an untrodden path. I will make a contract with myself. This time, regardless of what it takes, everyone who wishes to harm the world will die by my hands. We begin our narrative with a hand being crushed, the hand of our protagonist. He was a paramedic in his past life, but unfortunately died in a work accident. After his death, he was reborn into a fantasy world inhabited by awakened and mutant beasts. In this new life, he is also an awakened. At one point, he was holding a brilliant emerald artifact in his hand when the system announced, "Contract gem, consumes vitality and mental energy to materialize a contract gem. Once the target voluntarily consumes the gem, their life, soul, and consciousness will be completely bound to the summoner's will." Although this seemed like an incredible power, there was a small flaw that he noticed, which made him remain silent while still holding the crystal. "Hey, Ping, what are you doing?" asked a female voice approaching. He turned around sheepishly, showing the crystal, and replied, "Nothing much. Want a candy, Su Jingyao?" The girl looked at him suspiciously and commented, "Get lost! As if anyone would want to be controlled by you, weirdo." Jiang Ping claimed it was just a joke as he threw himself down the stairs. The biggest prank of this contract was that the target had to be fully informed and willing to form the contract. Otherwise, nothing would happen, even if they consumed the jewel. Ping smiled as he thought, the original owner of this body got so frustrated with this power that they almost died of anger. Good thing I'm here now. My old life taught me a thing or two about dealing with stress. Jingyao frowned, trying to cheer up her friend, stating that he shouldn't give up so easily, as this world is vast and surely there must be someone out there who would accept being controlled by him. However, besides himself, who else would say yes to that? With this line of thought, he had an idea. "Wait, me?" he thought, until he said out loud, "Right! Why didn't I think of that before?" Ping got up and immediately put the gem in his mouth, leaving Jingyao surprised, not understanding what he was doing, and questioned him. Suddenly, an emerald green energy began to circulate all over his body and around him, surprising him with the first manifestation of this ability. When everything dissipated and returned to normal, Jingyao asked apprehensively, "Are you okay?" And he, smiling, replied, "I'm great." The girl sighed in relief and asked him not to scare her like that again. Descending the stairs, she informed him that she needed to return to the dormitory as it was getting late. Then she turned to him and said, "I have to report to the city guard tomorrow morning. You don't have to wait for me." He put his hands in his pockets and asked, "You're really going through with this, huh?" The girl looked at him, and at that moment the wind blew strongly as she stated, "I have learned everything they can teach me here. It's time to gain some real combat experience to improve even further." He knew it made perfect sense, as joining the city guard to protect their homeland had always been her dream, and now she would finally have the chance. With a smile and a slight blush, she asked him not to be upset, as when he became strong enough, maybe they could work together one day. The protagonist, with an awkward expression, scratched his head, thinking about his useless ability, and informed her that it was time for him to go to the farm. At that moment, he thought, "Oh well, we probably won't see each other much after this. Still, it's kind of sad to say goodbye like this. Even though she is technically the childhood love of this original body, I really want to give her a hug." It was then that suddenly a green shadow entered his body, and he hugged her, leaving the girl surprised. As the girl allowed herself to be carried away by the hug, she screamed, "Ah!" The green shadow had her hair standing on end and her heart in her mouth. Did my body move on its own? He thought. The girl, stunned, could only stammer, I, I have to go," pulling away from the warm hug. She ran, distancing herself more and more from our protagonist, who waved goodbye, saying, "Take care." She gave one last look and instructed him to do the same before leaving. Ping looked at his hands, trying to understand. Speaking of which, did my body hug her on its own? Did I just subconsciously command myself to hug her? He stood for a long time, reflecting, and then asked himself, was that a coincidence? I need to find out how much control I really have. At that moment, he imagined various things, even flying like Superman, but ended up face-planting on the ground. He ordered himself to climb an iron mountain and spin in the air, and his body obeyed. This whole situation left him exhausted and face down on the ground. Ping lifted just his head and began to think, okay, so I can definitely make my body do practically anything, as long as it's within the realm of what's humanly possible. No flying, no transforming into another species. But here's the crazy part. I can even copy movements I've never physically practiced before based on my memory. So, theoretically, if I can imagine it, and I have the physical strength to do it, I can master any martial art, any fighting style. All I need to do is increase my physical abilities and I'll get stronger. He got up, pushing himself off the ground, and stated, but there's one more thing I need to test. The next day, our protagonist was beginning to recognize the place he was in. He looked really exhausted, as if he hadn't managed to sleep. And in his mind, he thought, where? The cafeteria? A sharp pain hit him, causing him to scrunch up his face. My legs are killing me, he thought. His legs were shaking and aching until he remembered, that's right. Before going to sleep, I ordered myself to run in the morning. So, my body followed these orders even while I was unconscious. But then the pain turned into satisfaction. Great, it worked. My body can follow commands even when my brain is unconscious. He looked around desperately, happy that no one was paying attention to him. All the attention was focused on Luo Shiyu, who was entering the place, graced by everyone due to her beauty. She was the queen of the campus, and our protagonist wondered why she woke up so early too, until suddenly he heard a noise that made him turn around. In the next moment, his eyes widened and beads of tension started dripping rapidly. What the hell is this? What's going on? He saw a huge monster with sharp claws devouring a human in front of everyone. They can't, he thought, still paralyzed by the situation. The creature was chewing on one of the girls who had been adulating her, while the others only smiled and waved. Terrified by the situation, Ping could only think, that's not Luo Shiyu. The monster grinned, its mouth full of teeth, eyes glowing red. Behind him was the kind girl saying, classmate Jiang Ping, you look a little pale. Are you feeling all right? What he saw was a completely different form, a horrendous creature, resembling a mix between a rabbit and a wolf. Its enormous claws gripped our protagonist's shoulder, and he ordered himself to stay calm. A bit embarrassed and with a trembling voice, he replied, yes, I'm fine. I just had a nightmare last night and didn't sleep well. Anyway, class is about to start. He stood up, informing her that he needed to go. The girl stood there, half monster and half human, questioning herself. That smell of fear, is it just me? As he walked through the academy's corridors, Ping thought, why is there a mutant beast in our school? Has no one noticed them? Am I hallucinating? He decided he needed to tell a teacher about it, so he entered a room ready to reveal everything when suddenly, something completely surprised him. A monster almost identical to the one he had seen before was devouring a person. He ran out, frightened. Sitting on a bench trying to get his thoughts in order, our young protagonist looked desperate, putting his hand on his head and saying, something's wrong, totally wrong. Is this place a hell? He clutched the green crystal and analyzed it deeply, until he said to himself, damn it! In hindsight, I started seeing these things after I ate that contract gem. Whatever is happening, I need to get out of this. Jiang Ping immediately placed the gem in his mouth, and the greenish energy enveloped him once again. What? He said, surprised, as he heard the system inform, analysis in progress. When the analysis was completed, the system reported that reproduction had begun. At that moment, one of the creatures appeared on top of him, covering his entire face and making him scream, but it didn't last long and soon everything dissipated. A literal reproduction of the rabbit. Ping looked terrified, gasping while wondering, did I just awaken some kind of analysis ability? As Jiang Ping looked at his hand, he noticed that his vision had changed. His fingerprints appeared as if his vision was systematic. A status panel opened and informed him, Invocation Jiang Ping, Master Jiang Ping, Race, Level 1 Human, Growth Potential, 3 stars, Ability Level 1 Contract Gem, consumes vigor and mental energy to materialize a contract gem. Once the target voluntarily consumes the gem, their life, soul, and consciousness will be completely bound to the invoker's will. Absolute command. You have complete dominion over your invocation. Every command of yours will be obeyed without question. Absolute obedience. You are obliged to obey every command of your invoker, executing them with unwavering loyalty. Basic analysis grants access to your own detailed status and the ability to analyze targets. The success rate depends on the power difference between you and the target. Our protagonist was still confused by everything he was experiencing these days and wondered, how did that second gem do this? It didn't take long for Ping to be in his classroom, rolling a pencil between his fingers and thinking, okay, let's analyze this. 1, I have become my own invoker and invocation. 2, the only one in control of me is myself. No external influence can mess with my body or mind, which means 3, illusions no longer work on me. That's why I can see through the disguises of these mutant beasts. 4, they are all celestial foxes, high-level foxes, and I, at my level, am no match for them. He remembered encountering one of them who was playing football while the system informed him that it was a mutated level 26 celestial fox beast. Its main ability was to manipulate the perceptions of its targets, making them completely oblivious to any anomaly. So the 5th analysis was, this cognitive distortion thing, it's a complicated ability. A celestial fox could devour someone right in front of you, and you would think you were just seeing a group of students chatting. He concluded that this was exactly why no one else could see them. Ping took a deep breath, scribbling in his notebook while still wondering, if it's a mind control ability, Su Jingyao's powers are also mental. She's from the psychic class. Maybe she can help. Time passed, and soon after school, Ping was walking in the middle of the street. His emerald eyes were activated, and he couldn't believe that the disguise was not just at school. He saw a happy couple pass by him when, in fact, one of them was a disguised creature. How many of them are out there? He asked himself as he passed the couple. He had finally reached the headquarters of the city guard, a huge and majestic building. He entered and was soon greeted by a beautiful young woman who asked how she could help him. He replied, I'm here to see someone, Su Jingyao. She should have enlisted today. Ping needed to maintain total control over his emotions. But suddenly, the woman transformed into an even larger monster than he had seen before, acting as if her disguise was still intact. Sitting in the lobby, Ping was amazed and disturbed by the fact that even the monsters were part of the city guard, and that even the high-level awakened ones could not see through the illusions. Jingyao approached, calling out his name and asking what he was doing there. She was accompanied by another woman. He stood up, scratched his head awkwardly and said, I just wanted to make sure you were settling in well. You know, I was just worried about you. Jingyao smiled, assuring him that she was doing well, and then introduced her team members. Everyone has been great to me, she said happily. Her expression showed a little dejection, but Ping thought it was good that she was fitting in. Jingyao approached, clenched her fists, and said, I'll get stronger, strong enough to hunt down the beast that killed my parents. He also clenched his fists, thanked her, and she, making a joke, commented that they were short on members at the moment and asked if he could make a good recommendation for him in the city guard. But he stated, No, I'm not cut out for that. My power is useless. I'd be more useful on a farm somewhere. Then he left, saying goodbye and telling her, Well, I'm glad to see you're doing well. I won't bother you anymore. His smile soon faded, and he bit his lips, bothered by it all. When he turned around, we began to understand why. Behind them, there were 4 huge figures, all mutant foxes, staring at him as he left the place. I'll see you around, Su Jingyao, he thought, full of anger. Outside, he could only think, You've got to be kidding me? The city guard shouldn't be the strongest in Pearl City? How have they all fallen? Su Jingyao just joined today, and yet... His veins were visible from the sheer force with which he clenched his hands, head bowed. Suddenly he paused for a moment and continued to think, the celestial foxes, they've not only infiltrated the school, but the entire city as well. Everyone in Pearl City, livestock in their twisted game. Our protagonist began to investigate with his analysis ability and discovered that most of the celestial foxes are of medium to high level. Ranging from 1 to 9, they are low level. Between 10 to 19, they are medium level. 20 to 29 are considered high level. And lastly, 30 is the pinnacle of levels. However, even the city guard, which had many high-level awakened ones, was unable to defeat these monsters. With this in mind, Ping thought, what killed Luo Shiyu? That thing was on another level. My instinct tells me that if I try to analyze it, it will know exactly where I am. The queen of the campus? That thing was apex level, maybe even king level. And any celestial fox capable of fighting against awakened ones above its class, that must also have been the work of this thing. Unlike most mutant beasts, the celestial foxes are intelligent. Very intelligent. And they are masters of disguise. They can blend in easily, but it's all an act. Their primary targets are usually the most powerful or high-profile figures. He walked the streets, immersed in his thoughts, wondering, and the rest of us, we're just livestock, the food they're saving for later. Confronting them head-on is suicide. But I can't just stand by and watch innocent people die. If I were only stronger. A week had passed, and our protagonist had woken up at 3:54 a.m. yawning. He said to himself, I'm waking up earlier and earlier these days. I guess that's what happens when you push your body to the limit. You need less sleep. He had trained a lot in the past few days and had leveled up. In addition to the training, he had tried to create more jewels to eat in the hope of awakening something new. However, since he awakened the analysis ability, all the jewels he created were colorless, and upon consuming them, they had no effect. But that day, he managed to make a colored one. A glowing purple crystal shone in his hand. It didn't take long for him to swallow that crystal. It's not exactly appetizing, however. Let's hope it works this time, he said. A strong glow began to emerge from his trunk. Wow, what's this feeling? He said, looking at his body. In front of him, a status panel appeared. He had already reached level 2 and gained an additional star, along with the abilities. Level 2 Contract Gem, with the effect of awakening a new ability upon leveling up. Absolute Command, Absolute Obedience, Basic Analysis, Basic Nightwalker, which grants night vision, significantly reduces his presence at night, increases movement speed, reduces weight, and makes people completely invisible in the shadows. Excitedly, he said, It worked! I have a new ability! Now I can really investigate at night. And the contract gem leveled up. Maybe it's tied to my level. Does this mean that every time I gain a new power, I level up? If that's true, I'll be unstoppable. He stood up, activating the Nightwalker ability, and a shadow began to emerge, covering him in a translucent dark manner. With a confident smile on his face, he said, No time to waste, it's time to train. Maybe it's best to test this new ability. Outside, Ping ran along a racetrack, his vision better than during the day. Suddenly, he came across a fallen ring on the ground that completely caught his attention. He stopped, knelt down, picked up the ring, and tried to use his analysis ability, but all his attempts failed. The system described it as assassination ring. When used, all living beings will subconsciously ignore the bearer. High level awakens and above are immune. His eyes widened when an image projection started coming from the ring out of nowhere. Two figures were staring at each other for a brief moment. A masked man was facing a fearsome creature. That's the imposter Luo Shiyu, and that other guy. He must be the owner of the ring, but he was definitely seeing Luo Shiyu as a human. Does that mean he's her enemy? He thought, seeing the man raise his sword, ready to attack, revealing the ring. He charged at the monster, which destroyed him with a single blow. This seemed impossible to Ping, who thought, Luo Shiyu was an orphan. She would never make enemies like this. So there is only one explanation. Besides me, there are others in Pearl City secretly fighting against these monsters. Suddenly, one of the creatures jumped over the wall, shouting, Who's there? The moment Ping saw it, he quickly hid. The creature threw itself on the ground, searching for the ring, and realized it was gone. Looking around, it wondered, Someone must have been here, but there's no trace of their presence. How is that possible? Whoever it was, they are at least a mid-level awakened. I need to inform His Highness immediately. Ping remained hidden, watching the creature leave the area, and believed this was their game, that they had left the ring on purpose. He looked at the ring again and thought, returning it now would be even more suspicious. I'll have to keep it for now. It was already 5:36 in the morning and the sun was beginning to rise. Our protagonist was still looking at the ring. It was still dark. The Nightwalker ability and the ring must have made me completely invisible. So, strength isn't just about your powers, it's about the equipment you can get too, he said, recalling what had happened earlier. In the next moment, footsteps could be heard getting closer and closer. A soft voice was calling his name. He stood up startled, asking who was there and who was speaking, but all he could see was a bluish energy materializing like smoke, bringing with it the voice. Hide. They are here. These words froze our protagonist, as the smoke took the shape of a person who seemed to want to warn him. The creatures invaded his dormitory, alarmed. As they searched the room, all they found was the open window and the clock showing 5:40, with Ping's sleeping body before them. One of the creatures grinned, revealing its sharp teeth, and said, Isn't it him? Then it concentrated a red, malevolent energy in its hands, aiming at our protagonist and shouting, Die! She had hoped that Ping would react in some way, but all she saw was him snoring deeply, drooling. Not a glimmer of emotion. If that useless one was really the one who escaped, he would have fought for his life. Besides, the ring is not reacting, she thought, keeping her claws close to her face. One of the creatures approached. Your Highness, why don't we kill him? This human runs every morning, but not today. Something is wrong. She turned and stated, It's not him. He is just worthless food. Let's not waste. The other two creatures bowed respectfully. Some time passed. Ping woke up sweating, opened his eyes and got up. He took the ring out of his mouth and sighed with relief. Just in time. I completely forgot that I run every morning. He stared intently at the ring, thanking for having ordered him to sleep, avoiding suspicion. But when he remembered the figure in human smoke, he thought, wait, I heard Zhu Jingyao's voice before. Or was it my imagination? Why am I so sentimental? I need to get stronger, strong enough to avenge her. For now, I must pretend normality so as not to raise the suspicions of the celestial foxes. In the cafeteria, Ping was passing by two girls who were chatting. He heard one say, "Hey, did you hear? The guard found a body cut in half near our academy today. It was the famous Black Death Star guy, the main assassin of Pearl City. He wounded the old lord of the city. The wounds never fully healed. He died young, they say." Upon hearing this, Ping thought, cut in half. Could it be that white-robed person? He reflected on the images in the ring. If she defeated such a notorious assassin so easily, Luo Shiyu's strength is more terrifying than I thought. Why are they displaying the body this time? It must be a warning to those who oppose the celestial foxes. Surveillance will increase. I need to get equipment to protect myself. I'll check the blacksmith shops after class. And he headed in the opposite direction to the cafeteria. Outside, some people were circulating the area. Our protagonist was passing by a shop where one of the creatures, with a megaphone, was calling customers. The analyses on the creatures were flawed, and Ping thought, it seems that all the blacksmith shops in the city are controlled by the celestial foxes. After several frustrated attempts, Ping was surprised when an analysis was successful. In addition to obtaining a more accurate analysis, his skill level increased to intermediate, allowing him to see the growth potential of his opponent. Observing one of the blacksmiths, the status screen indicated, Mutant Beast, Intermediate Level Celestial Fox, Level 15. Skills, Cognitive Distortion, capable of manipulating perceptions, making targets oblivious to anomalies. Growth Potential, 1 star. With his gaze fixed on the creature, she said, "Come in, young man, take a look at the shop." Ping waved his hand negatively, refusing, leaving the blacksmith silent. What he really needed was to find a shop not controlled by them. After much walking, he spotted a shop called Iron Soul Blacksmith Shop. From inside, he heard someone say, "This is a sword of the highest quality. Look at the craftsmanship, the shine." Upon entering, he saw a man wielding the sword alone and saying, "It seems you'll have trouble. If you want to sell, I'll give you the lowest price, even if it hurts." The old man sitting in the chair laughed while smoking a pipe, finding it rude. He puffed the smoke towards the man and commented, "Did you just say that my daughter is waiting for me to eat her?" The man coughed, surprised. "Old man, are you deaf or something?" He then slammed the counter defiantly. Suddenly, Ping grabbed the sword, catching the attention of the blonde man, and began to analyze it, touching it with curiosity. The man shouted, "Who is this brat?" Irritated, he fiercely advanced towards Ping, saying, "Hey kid, how dare you steal my things?" The analysis system informed, "Magnificent one-handed sword, quality, common. A weapon that looks good but is useless. It has been broken before and poorly repaired." Ping frowned, asking the boy to wait, but the weapon unexpectedly broke in half, leaving the three in complete embarrassment. With a faltering voice, Ping said, "What you want?" The irritated man began to transform, energy bolts running through his body as he shouted, "You ruined everything! Do you have any idea who I am?" The bolts started firing in all directions. Exploding, his clothes tore as if he was transforming into the Hulk, and he stated firmly, "I am the direct disciple of Master Ma from the Xingyi Martial Arts Academy. Prepare yourself." Uncontrollably, he rushed towards Ping, repeatedly firing his powers like a pinball surrounding Ping on all sides. Finally, Ping gave him a hard slap and said, "Ask to leave." With the man on the ground and a red cheek, Ping asked, "Is that it?" The man thought Ping was playing dirty, and at that moment, Ping's analysis ability activated, revealing the man's name as Liu Baoguo, a human with 1-star growth potential, at a low awakened rank level 1. When Ping turned around, the man still challenged, "Get out of here while you can." But Ping didn't take it seriously given the situation he was in. "Now's my chance, surprise attack," the man thought, advancing towards Ping. However, his attempt was futile, as the next moment he was already on the ground, Ping's hand emitting smoke. "Trying to attack me by surprise. Who's playing dirty now?" Ping said, while the old man just watched. Suddenly, a woman approached Baoguo's body, who had a black eye and a large swelling. She commented, "I stepped away for 5 minutes and the place got lively." She looked up, snapping her fingers, and continued, "Are you going to leave on your own or do I need to show you the door?" Baoguo quickly retreated, apologizing repeatedly, while Ping thought about leaving the shop. "Better look at other shops." When Ping tried to leave, a hand cornered him against the wall, making him stop with a nervous smile and cold sweat. "You stay! We need to talk!" she said, trapping him like a rat. "For the curious only." In the versions of our protagonist, there were changes in the drawings indicating the increase in level and additions to his abilities. The celestial fox, represented by the campus queen, Luo Shiyu. Everything about her is unknown so far, except that she may be around level 40. In the foxes, the face is covered with human skin, which easily helps with cognitive distortion. The City Guard is one of the 3 main organizations in Pearl City. It is responsible for maintaining order and security, currently annihilated and occupied by celestial foxes, mutated beasts. They are creatures that originally existed in this world, generally having low intelligence. Humans built the city walls to resist them for their survival. Most mutated beasts reside outside the city walls. There are no officially confirmed cases of mutated beast activity within any city. However, an anonymous man claims that a large number of highly intelligent mutated beasts known as celestial foxes have infiltrated the city, awakened. Only a minority of humans can awaken abilities. In general, the awakened manifest their abilities before adulthood. The schools provide guidance on career paths based on the results of ability analyses. About the contract gems. First use of Jiang Ping's contract gem, level 1, formed a contract with a target. Second use of Jiang Ping's contract gem, level 1, activated the level 1 effect, awakened a new ability in the summoned one. Analysis. Note 1. Each level of the contract gem grants only one effect. Once an effect is used, the gem becomes inactive until it is leveled up. Contract gem, level 1 effect unavailable, inactive, colorless. Note 2. Contract gems can level up when the summoner levels up. Third use of Jiang Ping. Contract gem, level 2, activated the level 2 effect and awakened a new ability in the summoned one, Nightwalker. She approached him very closely, even making him blush as she said, "I am just a maiden working hard every day to survive. I also have to take care of my uncle who became distressed after his daughter disappeared. Looking at you, your body is good and your personality is not bad. How about..." Without knowing what she meant by that, he was grabbed by her and pressed against her breasts. With a smile, she spoke, "Stay here to become a blacksmith. Take care of old Liu Tifeng and also take care of the shop. Of course, food and accommodation are included, as well as a salary." He reflected, "If I can learn forging skills, I can save a lot of money on equipment in the future. Also, this shop doesn't seem to be under the control of the celestial foxes." His daydreams grew even greater as he began to imagine himself all-powerful. "Okay, I am the man who will become the king of blacksmiths." The affectionate woman gave him a hard slap on the face, making him bleed, and said, "Good boy. As expected of someone I have my eyes on." Our protagonist was lying on the ground, with less than 999 life points, a smile on his face, blood dripping, and tears in his eyes, thinking, "I must try to survive under her hands first." A few days later, in the Iron Soul blacksmith shop, a voice said, "Use a little more force, little brother Jiang Ping." Our protagonist was showing all his upper muscles, sweating as he said, "Cho Chang, is it really right for us to do this?" In response, the girl asked him not to worry, assuring that no one would come there. She put her fingers in her mouth, appreciating it all, and said, "Very good. Don't feel too bad. This is our exclusive skill, forging kneading technique. You need to let the different materials melt, as if you were kneading dough." Ping was struggling against a highly hot wood-fired furnace. Chiang turned seductively, asking him to wait there for a few moments, as she would go to the warehouse to get the mold. Before leaving, she also instructed him, "The fuel is in the bucket next to it. Don't let the fire go out." At first, he remained calm, but when he noticed the word fuel, he became desperate, looking around and wondering, all this fuel? In one bag was the scarlet snake scale, and in the other, the charcoal. Damn, the fire is almost going out. He grabbed the equipment he was operating, cursing as he positioned it in another corner. "Finally, throw it into the furnace to keep heating," he said, throwing it into the live fire. Suddenly, an explosion formed, lighting up the entire environment. The fire intensified until it circled his body in ashes. Our protagonist, who seemed dejected after this incident, thought,